talk about what's currently in development right now at the Phin and the Phin engineering team. And that is campaign presets. Some of you might be familiar with this concept already because it exists for phishing campaigns in our platform, but it doesn't exist for training campaigns. So our engineering team is working on expanding campaign presets to work for training campaigns. For those unfamiliar, you can think of these campaigns these presets like campaign templates. We don't use the word templates because you've got phishing templates. It gets the difference there gets a little bit muddy. So campaign presets, they work for both phishing and soon to work for training campaigns. And how this works is you configure each component of a campaign made up of audience, content, and schedule. You launch it, and then when you launch it, you can share it by saving it as a partner level resource, which means if you go into any other company account or you onboard a new company, you can launch a campaign preset from within that company in just a couple of clicks instead of having to create a new campaign. This speeds up the time spent onboarding a company, creates consistency in what people are training on across companies, and helps you do more with less resources. So the slide here, representing that I had created that campaign resource, that campaign preset at the partner level, and now new or existing companies, if they want to launch from that preset, they could go at the company level in their presets, and they can launch right from there without having to configure anything to do with audience, the content that's in there, or the schedule. An example of how this would be useful is, you're a client or you have clients that, let's say 75% are over here, but you've got a sales vertical that is like healthcare industry. So you create a campaign preset for onboarding that includes specific HIPAA modules we have in the Phin library, two other campaign presets, one for continuous training, one for continuous phishing, both tailored to the healthcare industry. Now that you have presets for those three campaign types, anytime you acquire a new healthcare client, you can launch these campaign types much quicker than you could if you had to rebuild each campaign in each company. Not only does this remove the need to reconfigure three campaign types in each company, but if you are striving to create any type of consistency, it means you don't have to track what was done in one company to deliver a consistent experience in another that exists within the same industry. And that sounds great. Campaign presets, we have them, we're expanding them. But there's some challenges around them. If I back it up a little bit, this is what has been asked of us. People have come and said, hey, can you make it so that I can just copy this thing I built over here, put it in another company, and then launch it? And so we are working diligently now to have campaign presets for training available in the very near future. However, we still see challenges with this way of doing things. You're still managing separate campaigns across companies that have very similar, if not the exact same needs when it comes to security and awareness training or phishing simulation. And if you want to make a change to a campaign preset, it does not affect the campaigns already in flight. You make a change, and that'll update the campaign preset, the template, but it doesn't make any changes to things that are in flight. So you still have to go, if you wanted to make changes to a bunch of campaigns, you still have to go and do that individually in each campaign. Say you get a request from a client stating that they don't want to see animated training or anything over 10 minutes because employees are less likely to engage with it. You have to submit a ticket to our team and rely on our support team to help make a change like that. So we recognize there is a lot of opportunity to minimize campaign management, create more of a unified but more flexible campaign tool, and provide this and more at the partner level of the Phin platform. And we believe that our first step towards doing that is something like shared campaigns. So what are partner level shared campaigns? Shared campaigns are campaigns that simplify the creation, management, and analysis of campaigns in Phin. So imagine one campaign serving several companies instead of managing one or more campaigns per company. Make a change in one campaign rather than several, but also have the flexibility to make changes that only affect a single company if needed. The ability to filter eligible training content by topic, style, format, duration, and other metadata that is tied to each piece of content in our library. The flexibility of a campaign to enroll companies into it one at a time or in bulk, and then campaign review campaign health in the form of completion rates per company at the partner level. So taking what that looks like is, and I'll demo it and show, but taking what is user completion rates, bubbling that up to company completion rates, and then at the partner level, when those companies are enrolled into a campaign, showing the completion rates per company at the, for the campaign that they're enrolled into. And then bubbling all of that up to a partner dashboard in which you can see kind of a general overall health of how are my campaigns doing across all of my companies. So with that said, one of the polls that we want to open up here is a question that I have is, would you describe most company security awareness training needs to be unique, or similar enough that the majority of audiences could receive the same content? So I'm going to open up that poll, and I'm interested to see if people feel strongly one way or the other. We understand that there are very unique instances, and then there are a lot of companies who whether it's the same industry or that you're just doing like a comprehensive security awareness training for them, that most people can funnel into this comprehensive campaign type. At least that's what we believe, and so want to get those results. We'll keep this open during the entire rest. So if if it's something you have to think about and you want to answer on later, by all means. Clearly, this poll isn't as popular as the DC or Marvel one, but I trust that people will interact with this as we go through. So with that, like I mentioned, partner level shared campaigns, what are they? The ability to go and launch at the partner level. You can launch to one or many companies at once. You can enroll new companies or existing companies into this shared campaign in bulk or by company. You can go and edit something like the schedule or the curriculum, and it's going to propagate to all of the companies that have enrolled into this campaign. And then metrics. You can, at a glance, at the partner level, go and see what the completion rate is per company, so you can get a quick glance at how a company is doing in their security awareness training without having to go dig through reports or drill down in the company to understand, are they getting an A plus? Are they a B? Are they a C? Are they, do they have 50% or less that might warrant you to go and do some proactive actions to change that? So now what I would like to do is I'd like to move into our design demo. Yeah, so I love how Connor responded about the, all clients can be covered by 2 to 3 campaign templates. That's sort of where we're going. I mean, I know that you still need to have granular options, but for the most part, I think most end users could be covered by fewer options, and you create this like consistent one, whether it's schedule or content, create consistency and pull a bunch of end users basically into one campaign. So that's what we're going to show off next. So if I switch over to hide this, and I'm gonna share my screen. There we go.
To talk a little bit more about Joel's statement here, a piece of feedback that I've gotten in talking with partners is that they might serve at most 2 or 3 specific verticals. Like, not only do most partners that we work with serve geographic concentrations, because obviously you want to be able to like drive to their place of business if you need to be on site, but most also coalesce around certain verticals that they serve, such as healthcare or dentistry or finance offices, because once you learn how to serve them, it's easier to continue serving people like that. So one piece of feedback that we're hoping to get through the course of this webinar as well is it a true statement that 2 or 3 campaign templates, that if you just managed those 3 unique campaign templates, you could cover, it's the Tanner show, yeah. You could cover the entirety of your client base. And so far the answer has been yes.
Yeah, thanks for reiterating that, Connor. I read your feedback and I took that as Joel's feedback. I didn't see the one above that, so I misresponded to Joel's feedback. Sorry about that. But Connor said it beautifully. And so, that's the whole reason that we're here is we want to show off this idea and understand, like, does this work for you in any sense? Does it, are you super excited about this? Are you kind of a take it or leave it, or does this not work for you at all? That's what we're here for. So what you are seeing now, I'm going to move my screen just so that I can navigate this. We're in a design tool called Figma. Some of you might be familiar with it. So this isn't yet developed, but it's something that we want to work towards, and we're here to understand whether it's something we should work towards. So this is a mimic of what our partner page looks like today. We're in the Phin partner. Let me get this out of the way. And what you'll notice here is we've got a new section called campaigns. And so we've got some high-level stats, users assessed. We've got a fish rate. This version only has one phishing campaign set up here. We've got training completion rate. So that rate, training completion rate, is split as an average across the different training campaigns we have here. And then learning moment completion rate is matches with the phishing campaign we have here, 60% to 60%, because a completion rate is really, if you click on a fish, you get assigned learning moments. That is a piece of training. And in doing so, that's, you're completing training. So that's what the learning moment completion rate is. So these are stats that we just thought were obvious ones, but what we want to know from you guys is what SAT program metrics provide the most value to you. If we could open that poll up, it looks like it is available. So I've listed a few here. So we've got user engagement metrics, completion rates, the things that I showed. But is behavioral changes more important? So click rate versus report rate over time. Another one would be compliance tracking. So the percentage of achieved compliance associated with a CSF, like a control points of a CSF. Is it something else? Like what else, the top three are the obvious ones, but then there might be others that we don't even know about that you want to see. Maybe it's, for example, operational metrics. Maybe at the partner level, you want to understand how quickly people are onboarding, how long your techs are spending time in the tool to achieve the results that you're looking for. And so there are things like that, if you've got other ideas around what kind of metrics you could, that we could help make this tool better for you, please share those in the comments. We're going to be looking through all of that after the fact to understand, how else could we better support our partners through the data that we give you. So I'm going to keep it moving. So what you see here is, this idea that we've got shared campaigns at the partner level. So let's go from, realistically, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to come in, there's not going to be any data here. You haven't made any shared campaigns. So let's go build a shared campaign together to see what that looks like and the value that a shared campaign could provide. So here we are going to see some changes here from what it looks like today for those familiar with the Phin platform. It's a kind of a unified campaign building experience. So we're either building training or phishing. I've named it here comprehensive SAT. I've given it a description, and we're going to focus on continuous campaigns for now in this demo. But you have the option to do fixed onboarding. You can essentially think of this as like we're taking the tools that we have at the company level and we're pushing them up to the partner level and trying to simplify them. So if I back up here, so far all I've done is I've clicked create company. I've made a couple selections, and now I'm on an overview page for my comprehensive SAT training campaign. The audience is set to all active users. Initially, we're looking to just support all active users, which is the full company, but we can see a path forward to doing groups and departments and supporting the other audience types that we support today at the company level. And then I've got my content here, and I've got schedule. Want to reiterate that, though you're seeing the designs like this is more of a user experience demo. The designs won't necessarily look just like this. This is our way of making sense of putting the components together and being able to have something to walk through. So if I want to, some changes you'll notice is just everything's in one overview page. It's not separate steppers or sections like that. And so now if I want to go, I see HIPAA in here. I don't want HIPAA in here. I'm going to go edit this campaign. Some of the improvements we're going to make to campaign content customization is the ability not just to filter by topics. So you can see I have HIPAA here, but content, we have, I believe, 169 pieces of training content and somewhere in the range of like 170 something phishing templates. If so, a lot of that is tagged with metadata, so I can choose the style, live action or animated. I could choose the languages that are available, the format, the providers, and then like max duration. There's some other ones not listed here, metadata like true closed captions. Does it have closed caption? Things like that. And when you interact with these filters, essentially what you're building is a list of available courses that are that will be eligible for the campaign you're building. So if I go with the example I started with, which was I saw HIPAA, I don't want HIPAA. So I can see here on the right side, everything in gray are topics that I have not selected for this campaign. Everything in blue is something that's going to be actively enrolled or actively picked up in my continuous campaign. So I've got HIPAA here. I'm going to uncheck this. No, HIPAA is no longer going to be in here, right? That's no different than what you can do today. But some other things that you can't do today are, one, we don't queue up before you launch something. We don't queue up what the first instance of each topic is going to be. So we're going to queue the first instance of each topic so you can see it, you can preview it, and then you can actually rotate it out. So let's say you preview something, you don't like it, you want something else, you want to see what else is available without having to go through the full list. You kind of just, you're okay with us picking something for you, then you could rotate that out. So what I've done is I've rotated it out. Maybe I've gone and previewed this. I like it. And what you didn't see, what I shortcutted to, was I've made some other selections. I only want live action. I only want English. And I only want videos. And I set the duration for like no longer than 10 minutes. And so that's what I have here at the bottom is my list of 53 available courses. This is not in order of how they will be delivered, but this is the list of courses. I can go and preview any one of them. And if I wanted to, I could actually exclude any of these courses that I don't want to end up showing, specific courses, not just like me filtering by style or language or things like that, but I can exclude a specific topic, or excuse me, a specific course. So I have made my choices, 53 available courses. If we think about that, like, if I'm delivering something monthly, that's over 4 years of delivering a training program, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to save that. I come back out here. I've got my 7 topics. Granted, if this was a real world use case, I would probably be building for more than just 7 of the topics in here. But to keep this, to not go down a rabbit hole on that, I'm going to keep it moving. So we go into schedule, and scheduling. If you're familiar with the platform, you've seen the Mad Libs is what we have for making a schedule. We're shifting away from that here to do something that is use a scheduling component that's much more in line with like Google Calendar. So what you do is you go and pick the first date you want an event to happen, and then you pick the repeat cadence or the frequency for how often you want an event to occur. So August 4th is my first date, and then I picked repeat every 1 month, which is monthly on the first Monday. So now the first Monday of September, the first Monday of October, November, you get the idea. That is when the trainings are going to be delivered, rather than the Mad Lib, scheduler that we have today, which is pick a date, pick a frequency, and then pick a date that frequency builds off of. This is a bit more simplified. And the other thing that I want to mention that this does is it actually gives you more scheduling options. So let's say I wanted something, this is going to be a little bit obscure, but let's say I wanted something for whatever reason once every 6 weeks. That's how often I want to train people. Like, you could go in here and do repeat every 6 weeks. And so we would have that cadence. Initially, we're only going to support what is within our min and max of the current supported scheduling. So currently we support a max of once a week and a minimum of once a quarter. We're going to stick within that and explore other options. But this would give you more iterations of schedule options within that min and max that I described. So I'm going to stick to once a month. I'm going to save it. And now I've got my audience, my content, and my schedule set up at the partner level. I'll hover over my object here. I can see, it aligns with what the next thing is. And so now I'm going to go and launch this. And, I haven't said anything about, I haven't done anything about audience except for all active users. So who am I launching this to? Well, there's two things you could do here. You could launch it essentially to no one, and then go enroll companies into it after the fact, or you could enroll companies into it right from the get-go. So your audience for these shared campaigns are companies, and then can be broken down into, is it the full company? Is it the group? Is it the department, just like you do today? But who you're enrolling into this is full companies. So I've selected 5 companies here. I'm going to go launch this. Success. I've launched 5 companies at once into this campaign. They're all on the same schedule. They're all getting the same content. And now, if I scroll down, I've got a list of companies. I can see the 5 companies that I have in here. Audience, content, and schedule are all in sync. That's going to become important later, why we show those statuses. I can see the enrolled users. I can see the enroll date. And I can see when the next training is going to go. And then I have completion rate here. And the completion rate is, there's nothing here yet because this hasn't hit. If the enroll date is July 23rd and the first assigned training isn't until August 4th, there's nothing to complete yet. So after we go into the future a little bit, we'll be able to come back here and see completion rates. But essentially, that is the completion of users at the company level that bubbles up to show here, and affects those stats you saw earlier at the partner level. So we fast forwarded a little bit into October. And so you can see that these shifted out right now. Passwords, before it was phishing at the top, now it's passwords. Works the same way as our continuous training does today. I can see my event here for monthly on the first Monday. So the 6th in October. Can see the topic. I can see the course it's going to deliver. And you know what? I can now see completion rates. So I can see, at the partner level in this campaign, I can see per company, how are they doing in this campaign? And now I'm ready. I have a couple more companies that I'm ready to enroll in this. So all I have to do is go to enroll. I find my 2 new companies, happens to be these 2 at the top, and I'm going to enroll them. So now it's 7 of 7 companies I have enrolled in this. And if I go down and look at my companies list, I've got all the same data here for them. So that would be another question. I'm not sure we have a poll specifically for this. Give me one second. Actually, so we do have a poll that I want to make, that I want to open up, which is, which of these sounds more like your process? So I'm going to open that up. Sorry, Kurt, I beat you to it. Something that we really want to know is, and I think the answer is, I do it this way, I do it that way, based on the use case. There might be times in which you onboard and manage one client at a time, or you schedule time to onboard and manage a bunch of clients in bulk. But we definitely want to understand this, and that you'll see why in a little bit. Because we are going to make this flexible enough that you could go and enroll one company at a time, not from here, but from the company level. So I enrolled my 2 new companies. New England Manor is a company. I went and told them that, hey, your users should get welcome emails. You're going to get training on the 6th. Expect all your enrolled users to start getting that training. They come back to me and say, hey, the schedule that you put us on is not going to work for whatever reason. Let's say that New England Manor, they're mostly in person. They're going somewhere. They're not remote workers, and Monday just doesn't work. They don't work on Mondays for whatever reason. Wednesdays would be a better date, whatever reason they give us. So we can go right to, I might have done that a little too fast. We go right to New England Manor by clicking here. And now you can see we're at the company level for New England Manor account. And we can see the shared campaign here. They've got another company level campaign going that's just for them, but they're enrolled in this shared campaign, continuous training. We can see the next send. And so if I go into here, now I'm seeing the same view at the company level for the shared campaign. It is essentially the same campaign, but anything I do here will only affect this one company. And so what I have done is I've gone in and I've changed the schedule to be monthly on the third Wednesday. So now they are off cycle from the rest of the shared campaign. Furthermore, I can go down and just like I could see companies before, which was the audience, now I can see users. Obviously users are the audience here at the company level. And so when the first training gets assigned, and then the second training, third training, I can see the completion rates roll in for the users of this campaign. And if I navigate back to the partner level, we're going to take a little bit of a shortcut here. I now can see a second event. And that second event is for, what were they called again? New England Manor. And what they've done is they've overridden their schedule components. So from this one dashboard, we started here, and as changes need to be made, we can go into those companies and make changes as needed. We can track those changes. We can see the events that show up on here as different events populate. If, for instance, if schedule, that would really be the only reason different events would populate on here. But we can track those changes. And then if I want to go back and sync them back in, I could go back and sync them up again. So from here, I'm going to just check my handy dandy poll. So it looks like everybody onboards one at a time. So obviously the way that you would probably utilize this tool mostly is go build the campaign, and then just enroll people into it after the fact. And I didn't show you doing that at the company level, but I'm going to. The other part, so I'm going to reveal another poll here, which is I just talked through the concept that you can go in and, excuse me one sec while I just make sure I revealed the right poll. I did. So now there's a new poll for overriding a shared campaign at the company level. So that was me. If I back it up again, that was me seeing a bunch of companies here in sync. I went into New England Manor. I traveled to the company level version of this campaign. And then I went and I changed the schedule for this. And in doing so, they're off cycle from the rest of the companies that are in that shared campaign. It doesn't mean that my campaign is wholly different. It just means that the schedule for this is different. And so I can track that here. Does that concept make sense? Do you like that concept? Do you get that concept, but it doesn't really do anything for you? Or does this concept, is it too obscure to really feel like it's a valuable aspect of a shared campaign?
For the folks
Great.
who didn't read our chat, is this available for onboarding, training, and phishing campaigns, or only for training campaigns?
So I'm assuming that's a question for me.
Oh yeah.
It's initially, the concept is intended to be something that we push up. So all of our tools turn into something that you can do this with. So shared campaigns, continuous, fixed for training, for phishing, onboarding, for just training. All of those things eventually get pushed up to the partner level, so that they, all end up being available at some point. But our first iteration of this is likely to be with continuous campaigns, just because it's our most used tool. So continuous training, continuous phishing.
Awesome.
Thank you for calling that one out. So I want to mention something about onboarding. Something we've heard before, and why we have the calendar component that we have now is with I mentioned like a start date, and then you pick a frequency, and then you pick another start date that is meant for that frequency. And the purpose of that was, I want to set the frequency date of when training should start, but I also want a training to go out tomorrow, or I want training to start for my end users, at some point sooner than when I set that frequency. And that's where onboarding trainings come in. I've seen onboarding in the chat a couple of times, and I want to reiterate for anybody who doesn't know, that kind of solves that issue. Not kind of, it does solve that issue. If you set up an onboarding campaign, any user that flows in will get training immediately, and the training is whatever you pick for that onboarding training, and that creates the buffer between, if you enroll a company and the next scheduled event for a shared campaign does not kick off for, let's say, 3 weeks. You say your client might say, I don't want to wait 3 weeks. I want them to get trained tomorrow. When you upload those users, if you have an onboarding training going, they will be getting training immediately. So for now, that is kind of the solution to how do I get training in front of people immediately rather than waiting on essentially the next scheduled event in a shared campaign. Okay, so I talked about the overriding concept. I see some votes for overriding. Really excited to see that people are into this. We think it's going to be very useful in terms of the management, the flexibility of the management of like getting everybody in line on one campaign, less to manage. But when you need, the flexibility of going and changing something, not only can you do that, but you can track it. So we're back here. Again, if you haven't gone and engaged in the poll or mentioned in the comments about, what kind of data do you want to see associated with your training campaigns, with your phishing campaigns, please do so. The more information that you can give us, the more likely it is that we're going to build something that works for you, provides the most value for you, rather. So let's go. I'm going to show an example. So in this example, I've got now 25 companies enrolled here. I mentioned, eventually opening this up to be doing the same things that it does at that campaigns do at the company level for audiences, which is groups and departments. And so that's why I'm showing that here instead of just all active users. So this was a campaign training fixed length. They needed OWASP training for certain people at a monthly cadence. We've got an information security training. So specific departments that handle a lot of customer information. Maybe you want to enroll certain departments into just that. You can now, instead of doing that again, just per company, you've just enroll these companies into this, and you pick the specific departments that you want enrolled into that. There's some nuance there for like how do we capture different departments that are coming in through our syncs into to be the same thing in a campaign, in a shared campaign. So there's some work to be done there in terms of like us creating Phin groups that essentially get you bucket departments through the sync into. But that's a little bit more down the road. But if we go with this example of 25 companies now, and I go into my comprehensive SAT campaign, same campaign that I had before, but a little bit farther into the future. This partner has really been using shared campaigns and rolling a lot of companies into it. And now I have 3 different events on here because the schedule changed for 3 different companies. I can come down here and see, I've got 25 companies in here. I have my completion rates, but now I can track and see who's changed things. I can go and drill down into those companies if I need to right from here. I want to call out that the completion rate, any of these things could be sorted like you can today in a table. And so I've sorted this by completion rate. So I'm showing at the top is who's got the lowest completion rates. Maybe those are companies that I need to go proactively do some work. Is something wrong with, is something not delivering? Is the engagement just low because that company doesn't have like a representative, that's championing the security program? Is SAT not something that I have mentioned enough in like QBRs when I work with this company, with these companies that are at 10%? So just highlighting the usefulness of a dashboard or a table like this with stats like these and being able to sort by that instead of relying today. What it looks like is I go and drill down per company, or I go and wait on reports I dig through a bunch of reports to identify who are the companies that I need to work with to improve user engagement and overall improve security risk. So I've dug back into New England Manor here. So I just clicked right into them. And so now we can see, I just wanted to show that you could, these are the completion rates of each user. Granted, it's only been, in this example, it's only been a couple of months. So they've only gotten 2 trainings. So, users in here are either going to be 100%, 50%, or 0%. And if we go back, it looks like they were at 80%. So they're doing pretty good. Doesn't really prompt me to have to do much to move the needle there probably yet. So that's the drill down into from a shared campaign from the part level to the company level. But now, a lot of you mentioned that you do things one at a time. Or sorry, you work with a client one at a time. So the idea that you would do these bulk, enrollment might not work for you. Maybe if you on board with us, you're a brand new partner to us, it might make sense for the enrollment in bulk. But otherwise, you would rather work with a company directly and do all the things that you need to set them up. So get users in here, get allow listing going, set up any other integrations, and then you want to enroll them in a campaign. And whether that means you're going to go build a campaign here, which again, if you build a campaign at the company level, it's intended to stay at the company level. We do have those campaign presets, but it's not the same thing as a shared campaign. Shared campaigns have to be built at the partner level. So in this example, I have gone and built a campaign at a shared campaign at the partner level. And now I have this new client, New England Manor, and I want to go enroll them. So what does that look like? It's as simple as going to a preset campaign, seeing that there is this comprehensive SAT shared campaign sitting out there. I'm not enrolled in it, and you know this because active campaigns here at the company level, there's nothing showing, no content's been delivered. So this company is not a part of any campaigns yet. But if I go in here, I can see the comprehensive shared campaign, and with a couple of clicks, I can go and just enroll them right into that campaign. I can see when that next send is. And then if I come back to my shared campaign, I can see them in it again. So I enrolled them. The made up date was on October 1st. They're going to get their next training like everybody else on October 6th. So this tool, the shared campaigns are meant to be flexible enough that you can go build them and launch people into it. You can build them and bulk enroll people into it, or at the company level, you can just work in one client at one time and still go and roll somebody into this to get them in sync. So there's flexibility there in how you use this tool. And I think I'm just going to check on our polls again real quick.
I could say something.
Yeah.
Real quick. How we intended for this to be used, and if we are wrong about this, the comments and the Q&A are the perfect place to ask questions that would help us understand that. But the way that we imagined this getting used is if you're a brand new client or you're just starting delivering security awareness as a managed service, you can create that template and enroll the majority of your clients in it. And then when you need to manage awareness training, instead of managing company on a company by company basis, you can essentially manage, I've been calling it like the security awareness training policy that you've now applied to all of your clients. So you can guarantee that there's going to be a quality of service that's getting delivered. You can audit that, like as on the screen right here with Tanner, in the blink of an eye in a real true multi-tenant fashion. And more importantly, if you have an SLA with some of your clients, and part of that is delivering security awareness for compliance or for any other reason, you can guarantee that you are satisfying those SLAs without needing to dig into each client and verify that's what's going on. I've talked with several hundred MSPs over the past year, some, demoing and also just conversations with a lot of them. And it shocked me how many partners didn't know that they were delivering certain services in their clients, or they hadn't audited it in 6 to 12 months. And as a result, this question mark slowly developed in their heads around, well, what am I actually delivering to my client? Am I making good on the promises that I've signed for in the agreements? There's my face. Um, and this is like an application of that into security awareness. That was kind of like the idea we had with it. The second use case is one, if I can scroll all the way back up to Eric right here and present it on screen, that there's also then this slow drip of either clients that are transitioning from other awareness training providers that they've signed directly with, or you get new clients that you then, instead of needing to recreate the wheel, so to speak, you can actually just say, nope, this client is getting the one that I want. And I should have put this as a poll, but I kind of already sampled the room about it. Um, Most of the partners that we've talked to about this say that somewhere between 2 and 3 campaign templates in totality will satisfy almost all of their client base. And as a result, if you just have 2 or 3 running shared campaigns, onboarding a client will be as simple as connecting us to the mailboxes and then, like Tanner did, click the enroll button and then you're done. That seems to be like the real oh shit moment for a lot of people. Is like, great, I don't have to manage this in an individual capacity.
Well, very well
Yeah,
said. And
I'm sitting on the pot of gold right now, Dean. You just can't see it.
um, thank you, Connor, for jumping in there and adding the context that my nerves missed. Um, I have one more piece of feedback that I'm specifically looking for. Again, I'm a designer, so I beyond just like understanding whether you guys like this concept, if you think it's really useful. We also have just one iteration of how would you go and create a campaign that we're kind of looking for feedback on. I've got you here, so why don't I just show you? Um, so back on the main page for creating a campaign at the partner level, and we're going to Kurt, if you could reveal the next poll, because I want it to be showing before I go into the next design. Awesome. So there's a poll out there that says campaign setup, design A or design B. And so I'm going to go through design A first, which is what I already showed, and then I'm going to switch to design B. And I'm curious if the audience, if you guys would prefer to interact with building a campaign through flow A, design A, or design B. So if I go to design A, it's what I showed already, right? We've got an overview of everything here. Let me stretch my screen out just a little bit more so it all shows. There we go. You saw this version of it. You get everything, but what you have to do here is you actually have to go into each place and edit on different pages essentially. But what it does is it gives you focus for what you're intending to do versus what would be designed B, which not a fully finished design by any means, but the difference here is that I'm doing everything on one page. So instead of navigating to separate pages, or what we have today is like a stepper. The overview version that I showed so far is go to separate sections still, even though you still see it from an overview, it's go to separate sections. This version is like a scroll down, where you can interact with everything on one page without having to navigate anywhere else to do so. So the design, brain in me is just curious, do people prefer I want to see the overview and then I want to be redirected to each section to go and engage with the component, whether it be audience, content, or schedule that I want to interact with? Or do you want to just have it all on one page so you can see it all, reference things against each other, and then save it? And when you do save from this, you would still end up with an overview page, so where you can see all the components, see your calendar, see your companies enrolled. But yeah, so I'm curious if people like the idea of what I've showed mostly, or if this design is something that is a bit more intriguing or feels more useful. Looks like I got 3 to 5. So okay, so 5 votes for B. Okay, so the one pager, people are feeling the one pager. It's interesting. It's not what we've looked to design so far, but this is good to know. It'll influence how we design the pages that we build for partner campaigns. For shared campaigns. I think with that, I got one more poll for you. One last thing, which I just made visible below the design one, which I have one last for you. We might have a couple more for you later through this, but it's how do you feel overall about shared campaigns? If I walk back through, I navigate back to here, shared campaigns. How are you feeling overall? Is this something that you want, that you wish you had now and would like tomorrow? Is this a take it or leave it, or is this just not going to work for you? Please give us your votes. Please mention anything that will not fit into selecting in the polls, just picking something in the polls. Please speak up about it in the comments. We're going to go through all of those and treat it like real feedback, despite I know some of the heckling that's been going on that I have not been paying attention to. And I appreciate, I'm sure Connor has been all over it. Looks like, let's see, I keep having to scroll back down. All right, we got a 12-0 in terms of yes, I want this. So super excited to see that. Really happy to just understand that we're headed in the right direction. That's what we want to know. So we're going to continue to do. We'll move into like a closed beta and things like that when we're ready. I'm not saying that we're moving in that direction just yet, but I guess we're moving in that direction. We're not going to release into a closed beta anytime soon, but campaign presets, like I mentioned in the beginning, are going to be coming sooner than later. We're looking to get that into a closed beta within the next, I'll say comfortably 2 months. Connor, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to bring up, Greg had asked a question about like, where do I access this? Not currently available. It's under development. Depending upon the total feedback we get from this session, if we're much closer to the mark in terms of we thought of everything, which probably rare, but hey, maybe we've talked with enough people and we've gotten that done. It'll get released much sooner. If there's a lot that we have to integrate into what we're currently building as a result of this feedback session, then timelines are going to be a little longer. We'll keep everyone super updated. Like, don't ignore our emails or don't like check them off so you don't continue getting them, because how we plan on making everyone aware when this will be available. And like Jonathan asked, getting on the list for people who are going to be not only design partners but also have early access to this is largely just by emailing you. So, I mean, I can call you just
Yeah.
on your phone numbers. Yeah.
And I'm also going to, one way you guys could actually really help us out. And in that regard, if you're interested in being on the closed beta list for this when it's available, give me a second while I use some of these studio actions, is what you should see at the bottom of your screen now, or the bottom of Crowdcast, is a share your feedback button. If you go to that share your feedback, it's a very short survey, shouldn't take you more than 1 to 2 minutes at most. You can give us, feedback that wasn't in the form of a poll, and you can also put your name on the closed beta list. So once we are ready to do that way we'll know who to reach out to. So with that, let me just navigate back here. Yeah, go ahead.
To bring up Eric's point, I have Eric's point here on screen.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing this up. One share that is very close to the aggregate feedback we've gotten is one would be great, 2 or 3 would fit every single company. And although I do have some partners who have 1 or 2 finicky clients that are like, no, I need my training like this, I need my fishing like this, and I don't care what you want, do this for me. Even in that case, you can still manage by exception. But this is exactly how we believed it was going to be used, and it's good to hear more feedback. I'm not going to Black Hat, DEF CON, or Evolve, Sean. I think the next place that I'll be if you don't go to smaller conferences is IT Nation Connect.
Awesome. So thanks, Connor. So we've gotten to what I intended to be the Q&A. There isn't really much in the Q&A, and it looks like Dean's question is really more geared towards the email triaging side. So if you've got questions, either ask them in the chat or throw them as a question here. And if we don't get to it, in the next couple of minutes, because people get the fact that there's not a lot of questions about this makes me think that this is like a concept that people like and get and could be really useful. So but if you do have questions, you know where to find us. Throw a question in the chat or in the Q&A. And with that, I think I'm ready to hand it over to Connor and Ted to talk about the next portion, which is something we are currently have developed and are working with partners on. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Ted.
We're not gonna take 5. Let's.
Ted, I would love for you to share your screen while I handle a few housekeeping items. You could have stayed on, Tanner. One, there are 3 people in the audience: Bryce, Kathy, and Joel. I plan on, in that order, bringing you up after we've showed a little bit. So Bryce, Kathy, and Joel are 3 of our partners, and they have been using this from the AI email triaging that we'll show you mostly from the very beginning, and are coming to tell all of y'all like what value they've gotten out of it or what value they haven't gotten out of it. Because obviously we can sit here and tell you that what we've built is incredibly valuable. If you hear it from partners that are actually extracting value, it's much more effective. So it'll be Bryce, Kathy, and then Joel in that order, and it'll be after Ted shows you what we're building and explains kind of why we're building this. So Ted, what have we built and why have we built it?
Hello, everyone. Can I get a quick confirmation that people can hear me and then see my screen and that it looks proper? Thumbs up, I think. Okay, thank you. So I'm Ted. I'm the Director of Engineering at Phin. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you all for joining and sticking around for so long. I know this is a long time. We hope to make it worth your time. I'm here to show you our email triaging feature. It is available, like it's built and it's being used by people. You can only get to it by talking to one of us, getting into the closed beta. The best way is to just make a support ticket, and it'll get routed to the correct person, and then we'll reach back out to you. Some background of what we're trying to build and like why this is a problem that we thought was worth solving. One of our most popular features is Report-A-Fish. It gives you, the MSP, a way to interact with your end users. It also lets your end users take a more proactive. Oh, hi, you can see me now. It also lets your end users take a more proactive approach to their training and feel more involved. But it lives in this weird place where you don't want your users to not use it, obviously, because you don't want them to second guess whether to report something or not, because they might miss something that's real. But then you also don't want them to overuse it, because then it just becomes a tool that forwards spam from your user's inbox to your inbox. So it becomes a thing where it has this Goldilocks zone where you just want your users to use it the right, reasonable amount. That sort of tension felt interesting to us. It felt like a problem that isn't being solved anywhere else, and we thought we'd take a crack at solving it. So our shot at it is a solution that lives in your PSA, because we know that that's where you do most of your email triaging. It currently is in a stable state for ConnectWise. We have an alpha version for Halo. So if you'd like to try that out, reach out. Just know that it's earlier, and we are working on likely auto task next. It's also available in the Phin portal if you're okay with going to another tool. But I'm going to be demoing from ConnectWise today. And so, just to get into it, this is a ConnectWise ticket that has been opened up by our ConnectWise service desk integration. The user has reported this dangerous email, I believe the normal workflow without this tool is one where you go and you download this phishing email, you get this EML, you open it up in Outlook to look at the content, you put it in maybe another tool to look at the headers, you copy paste some of those URLs and put them in VirusTotal to get the domain information. One of the core things we're doing is we're just doing all of that for you and showing it to you here, so you don't have to navigate to another tool. It's a pod. It has this this view with these tabs here. The first page is an overview. The overview has here at the top the most important security headers, so SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Right below here, there's a preview of the email, so you can see exactly what the email looks like. One thing we're doing to help you make a determination faster is we are running some AI analysis on these emails. Our models are producing a severity for how dangerous this email is. Hopefully that lets you get a quick idea without having to do the full research of what amount of priority you should give to this ticket. And maybe in the future, we get to a place where you're reviewing your high severity tickets first and then going to the lower ones. And then the tags serve as sort of metadata for you to know what kind of potential attack this is. If we look quickly at the content here, just for context, this is an email that I've sent to my other email account that says, I need you to go to this link and enter the updated wire information, or no one in the company gets paid. So we can look at the AI has marked it as high. If we view the analysis, we can see the reasoning behind that. So it says that it contains a high-risk request to update the wire transfer information. It uses urgent language to pressure the recipient into immediate action. And then it also detects that it provides a link to a suspicious domain that don't match the company's URL, which is an increased risk. Another thing that is here in this overview tab is this communication statistics panel or section. The idea here is that is information that we wanted to feed to our AI as context, but we thought, why not show it to you as well? This helps you understand the relationship between the sender and the reporter. In this case, the sender has sent the reporter 19 messages, and then vice versa. The reporter has sent the sender 9 messages. This tells you that these people have communicated a lot before. There's cases, for example, in the case of domain squatting, if I was pretending to be Terrace at Phin Security with 2 eyes.com, those numbers would be 0, and they would hopefully raise a red flag and say that if these people have worked together, why is there no email between them? So again, we're hoping that's useful context. The next tab is the headers tab. It simply extracts all of the headers from the email, shows them right here. We're going to add a way to search through these, but for now, it's just a big list of all the headers so that you don't have to look at them through like another email parser. This next tab is the URLs tab. So URLs have become the core mechanism through which attacks happen in the email. It's URLs are more dangerous than maybe viruses and files being sent. Because the URL is at the core of all of these attacks, we thought it deserved its own tab. What this does is it reads through the email, it extracts all of the URLs from the email and shows them to you here. One other thing we do is Microsoft will wrap emails in safe links for their own tracking. We automatically unwrap those for you so that you see the actual URL instead of the obfuscated version. We heard feedback that tools like Mimecast, Avanon, etc. also do this wrapping. We're looking into ways to do that unwrapping for you automatically. Another thing we do is we automatically run these URLs through a scanning tool. So you can see that this specific URL hasn't been detected by any security engine, and it's surprisingly old. It's 21 years old. You can see that for all of the URLs. And then one other feature here is that we can detect whether the user who received this email actually clicked on any of the links in the email. We did hear feedback that it is often that users will report an email, but they will have clicked on the link before reporting the email and potentially have put in sensitive information, because users can sometimes be afraid of, being punished for making mistakes. They don't always provide the MSP all of the information, so they will report something. They'll say, "I didn't click on it, nothing to worry about." This solution just looks at the data Microsoft gives us and gives you that information so that you know how serious this incident potentially is. Has the user clicked? And it also saves you that round trip of having to go to the user and asking them, "Thank you for reporting this. Did you actually click on it? Did you do anything?" You get that information here. The next tab I already showed, it explains the AI analysis. The final tab here is one that is more useful at the remediation stage. So if you've decided that this email is potentially dangerous, you now want to take some steps to fix that, to remediate that. Often you have to go to different tools, like you might have to go to Defender or one of your email security tools, or in some cases, write potentially complicated PowerShell scripts. We're trying to bring that in here because we have access to your company, so we can do some of these things for you. The table that you see here is a table which lists whether anyone in the company and also in all of your companies throughout Fin has ever received an email from this person who is a potential dangerous attacker. This lets you potentially take proactive actions to remediate things. You could imagine that, Connor is savvy and reports the email and detects that it's a phish, but the attacker has also attacked other people within the organization. They have not detected that it's a phish. Through this tool, you can see everyone who has received that email. You can then select any of them and delete them from their inbox from right here. We have an audit log for this for these actions. We will have an undo very soon because we know that deleting things is scary, and then if you need to undo it, it can be annoying to have to go do it manually. But you can pull out these emails from the user's inbox from right here. You can also block the domain from right here. This button is currently a bit more powerful than we'd like. It blocks, first of all, it blocks the domain, which you might not want all the time, especially if it's Gmail. And then it also does it throughout all of your tenants. We're definitely going to make it more granular, but for now, it's sort of to show that we can do this. Like this is a capability we have. And so like all of these tools, like in its current shape, they serve to make it so that you don't have to leave your PSA to triage your tickets. Hopefully this makes it faster for you to triage your tickets. The gold standard for us for this, like where we want the tool to be and where we are working on, well, what we are working on right now, not in the future, is that we would like to handle some of these emails for you. So part of the purpose of this AI severity is that if we detect that maybe something is low severity, we could take care of it for you. We could auto close your ticket in ConnectWise so that it's all nice and tracked in your PSA. If you'd like, we could automatically message your user with something that says, "Thank you for reporting this. We think that this is a newsletter rather than a scary email, and so we've just unsubscribed you from it." So that's where we want to be, like doing some of this work for you. One final thing I can show, which I don't know if it's a use case everyone has, but I think it's potentially useful. One is we don't have a report phishing button for Google yet. And so you might have users on Google that report things by email, and then you have those emails get auto-created into tickets in ConnectWise or Halo or anywhere else. You also might have users that forget to press the button and just use your forwarding email. And then you're in this awkward place where you have this ticket that's been created not through Phin. We have a solution to it is not yet as good as the full pod, but we can detect whether there's something attached to the ticket. We can let you load it manually if that is an EML file. So it loads in the pod, and then we sort of let you work on the ticket as if it had been reported through the Phin button. It does all of the basics, like it'll show you the email, it'll show you the headers. It is missing some of the AI severity. It is missing a lot of the a lot of the URL scanning. Those are things that we intend to do in the future, but for now it's much simpler. It is just as a way to like close that gap between maybe your customers who don't have the Phin button. Let me look at my notes, see if I forgot anything. Again, this is available. It just requires really someone from our team to send you some instructions on how to set it up. It's as easy as setting up any ConnectWise pod, and then we have to turn on the feature for you. If you'd like access, please make a ticket through our support system. It'll get routed to the correct person. Very happy to take any feedback. I believe we'll open it up for, we will look at the questions, not right now, but first, that's all I had, and I will hand it off to Connor to talk to some of our customers who have been using it and tell you what they think. So yeah, thank you for your time.
There are awesome. Thank you so much for that, Ted. Give Ted a round of applause. He won't be able to hear you, but we'll all know that it's happening just for him. So I really appreciate that. There are two polls right now that are being shown. One is about which PSA you use. That information would be super helpful. Currently, we've only lined up. It works today in ConnectWise Manage. So if you are a current partner and you use ConnectWise, you can enable this today if you reach out to our team and Ted asked via support ticket, and we can turn this on. It should be incredibly easy to get it working. But we also do integration appointments for this. Halo and Autotask are currently in development. Is that I'm not lying straight to people's faces, Ted? Is that accurate?
Halo is available to try. Like it's in alpha, so it works, but with an asterisk. And then Autotask is next.
Okay. So Halo is available, asterisk. Autotask is in development. Those seem to be 90+% of our partners. I see one person voted for Excello so far, but those seem to be the three big ones. I will bring up Bryce, Kathy, and Joel as soon as I figure out how to do that, but also there are some questions here. The second poll is, what do you do with phishing emails that users send you? Okay, so far everyone's voted for reviewing every single one of these tickets. I find that a lot of our partners are in one of two camps. One is we take all of these seriously. I think Joel Chambers here in the chat had alluded to that earlier. It's like better to be safe than sorry. A lot of people are in that camp. There's also a lot of people that are in the camp of I send this to a black hole, or I tell users do not send me anything. I do not want to review these ever. Like I'm not going to do it. And so there's really two things that that the phishing triaging is done now that it's available in your help desk as well. One is the time to resolution, like actually verifying it is phishing or it's just spam, has gone to as close to zero it's going to get. We could talk a little bit about is Phin going to do auto closing of these tickets based on confidence intervals? Not at this exact moment. But then the second piece of value is the folks that have said, we don't want anyone to send us these emails have usually done so because they recognize how much work it takes. And this is actually allowing them to turn this back on, to enable a phishing report button, to have this response to end users. And we didn't even talk about in inbox learning moment stuff yet, but maybe we'll talk about that after. In development as well, Josh says. Okay, a lot going on in the chat. Now I have to figure out how to bring up somebody on my team already knows how to bring up Bryce.
Yeah, you just let me know, and I'm bringing up. You said Bryce first.
I
Oh
think
wait.
Bryce, I just brought you up on the main stage.
Oh, nice.
I'm actually at Bryce's offices right now, and he's not even here. I actually saw him earlier today. Bryce is there he is, with CNWR, and CNWR is one of our oldest clients, but also one of the earliest adopters of this. Bryce, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I had very little planned other than you've been using this. What is your experience so far? What have you been able to do with it? What are some of the ways you wish it would improve? If you have any suggestions.
Yeah. So, I've already mentioned a couple things in the chat there as some questions and asks popped up. But really, for our technicians, we'll start with the text. It has been great in terms of using the pod and triaging the tickets through that. The header breakdown that it provides makes it much less challenging for the lower tiered text to engage on those sorts of issues. We don't have to utilize the PowerShell scripts constantly. Um, and so just being able to see those tickets come in and remove them from mailboxes without all the extra steps involved is great. And for our clients, as we've rolled it out, we've provided, I believe it's actually the rollout email that you guys have templated. We just obviously added our logo and stuff to it. And the sheer amount of increase in client interaction for email reporting has skyrocketed since we started rolling it out for our client base. So just that visibility, having the button instead of them having to go menus deep to report it to Microsoft, like it's just there and ready for them to go. Obviously, in that regard, or in the regard of triaging those issues, it saved us a bunch of time. Now there's a lot more reports, so I don't know how much time it's actually saved, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Our clients are engaged, and that's what actually matters there. And it really has helped further the continued education piece as well, just because like it has really shown who's doing their trainings, who hasn't. People report spam constantly, and we can follow up with them, show them the differences of spam versus phishing, and just make sure that they're utilizing the tools correctly and making themselves more aware. So, all in all, we've thought it's been a great time and have really enjoyed rolling it out and utilizing it.
Awesome. Actually, my conversations with you and several others, the multi-tenant searching, blocking, and removing was spawned out of an idea because I believe I was talking with Matt when he said either him or somebody else on your team has to write PowerShell scripts to search through other email tenants in the case of business email compromise.
Yep.
So for all you in the chat to give Bryce a round of applause. He can take it for the entire team.
The one thing, and we've talked about it, so it's worth mentioning, I think, is further advancements on your team. And I believe I said this in my little written blurb as well, whenever those are shown. But further advancements, looking forward to it, because like being able to filter those emails as they come in and be able to like remove that specific email instead of all mail from that sender for business email compromise situations, that's like the biggest improvement that will happen, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we're excited about that too. Another piece, I was actually just talking with you today about this. Responding to users when they report things. So we didn't touch on this already, but one of the improvements we intend on making is actually if a user is reporting mostly spam, we don't want that to get to the help desk. So if we can scan and understand that it's spam, tell the user why it's spam, get them to block and move it to their junk instead of putting it into a ticket on the help desk, that is one of the improvements we're also looking to make. So figured I'd mention that now that you did. Awesome.
Yep. Looking forward to that.
Well, I really appreciate you being here. Is there anything else you want to say? It could be Go Birds, if you're an Eagles fan, or anything else. Is there anything else you want to say to everyone?
Nope, that's it. Really looking forward to continuing to work with you guys and our relationship. Glad you could
Okay.
stop down.
Well, it was great seeing you last night, and I appreciate you being here, even though you're not here right now, and then being willing to join and say some good things about it.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
awesome. Appreciate
See
it.
ya.
I actually have no idea how to get you off the screen, so I don't know
I
what's
can
about to
leave.
happen.
Yep.
But okay, he's gonna leave. And now we have Kathy as well. I figured out how to do this, but I imagine somebody else has as well. There we go. So Kathy, I believe I've invited you as well. And if I don't hear from Kathy, I guess I'll just invite Joel as well, who's probably still silently trolling us, lurking in the comments. I know Sean's definitely lurking in the comments. There's Kathy.
Hey, just had a lot of accepts.
No worries. How are you, Kathy?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, if I were any better, I'd have twins. I'm doing amazing.
I heard a podcast you say that last year.
There's like 3 levels. I actually have twins, and I'm personally a triplet. So there's like a lot of different levels of analogy there.
That's cool.
But you in CCB, you were one of the first adopters of this,
Yes.
and you are also one of the heaviest users of it by ticket count so far. So, what has your experience been? What have you liked about it? What have you not liked about it? What should the people know if they're reading the fine print at the bottom of the pharmaceutical ad? What should it say here about the Phin triaging solution?
We go through with ConnectWise through a dispatch model. So having the reported fish in the summary is amazing. And then having the basics of, the DMARC, the DCAM sitting right up there with the red X, through all three gives us a high level of being able to triage and to be able to mark something that's critical that is potentially. Not necessarily is everything going to, all red X is going to be a high security risk, but it gives us the ability to make sure that we're not in a security breach or incident. We also, talking about the spam filtering, that's actually something that we do manually, where we if somebody's reporting something that's spam because it's a conference that they don't want to know anything about, we do identify it with the end user, and we have like this is what phishing is. Great job trying to be preventative, and then train them as what phishing and spam is. So that's awesome that you're already in that thought pattern for this. But the techs have noticed a huge increase in time, or decrease in time, I should say, and not having to search a bunch of different websites to be able to give a good analysis of what's going on in the environment. Of course, once we see that there's something that's potential, we're going to deep dive into it further, but this gives us a good synopsis.
Awesome. Have you used the cross-tenant functionality at all, or what are your thoughts on being able to search, block, and remove across all email tenants that are connected?
As I talked with Ted, we're kind of on the leery side, just because it is cross tenants. That if there is a capability that we could restrict it to a specific tenant, we definitely see the benefit. Like if the same email is going across all the tenants that are in Phin, but it's a matter of control. Quality control, and making sure that we're not removing something from another tenant that they actually have an email from this email address that's being brute forced or something. So we haven't adopted that as well. But it is a feature that we do like declawing the fangs.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. Our main goal, and you talked a little bit about this through the user education, is that when you open up your help desk to have people send you what they believe to be phishing, most of the time you get primarily spam, I just say, it's another Kohl's Cash giveaway going on or something. But it's a really delicate balance that you have to strike, because you don't want to disincentivize an employee at one of your clients that if they believe they have an event in front of them, they clicked on something phishing and now they want to report it. If they feel embarrassed, or they feel like, oh, last time, all the other times it was just spam, so I'm not going to report this, then you really miss out on that signal. On the other side of things, if they just keep sending you so much spam, you die under the weight of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails to review. And if, like you had mentioned your texts were doing before using this pod, if you're pulling out the email and viewing it somewhere, and then you're clicking the links one by one and putting them into VirusTotal or some other malware engine, even if you were like super speedy at this, what's it going to be, like 4 or 5 minutes a ticket? And if that's the case and you get 100 a week, you just blasted 4 hours of your help desk that week. What would you do with that time back? I don't know.
And it also helps with not having to interact with the end user to be like, can I get the email attached to an email so that way I can review it? All that information is right there. We can start engaging as the moment we receive it versus waiting on the end user to give us more information.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it even speeds up the time to giving them value.
Yep.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd love to say to everyone? I really appreciate you coming and being here and being willing to say how you've been using it, but what would you like to say?
Just the few months that we've been with Phin, I've really been excited with, my VP did an analysis of the level of time that we've gotten back throughout our end users. And it's just staggering from the previous platform to this platform of where we've saved a bunch of time in onboarding, maintaining, and improving.
I will have to bother you after this for that, as much of that report as you can give me, because I love understanding, like, where did we actually help people provide value? Where did we give them back time? I don't want you watching training videos and selecting them for your clients. That should be our job. So
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Just to give a high level, our onboarding was about 4 hours for our previous platform, and I think we've gone down to about 20 minutes, and that's high if we're waiting on my connection.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been really just an amazing game changer.
We're definitely very excited to be partnering with y'all as well. So it goes
absolutely.
both ways. It's not just one way excitement, for sure.
All right. Thank you.
And Ted, I know Ted says this all the time, but your feedback has been incredibly helpful as well on just getting the pod that Ted was able to demonstrate today built in the way that it's been built. Would not have happened without your feedback. So we owe you more than we could possibly repay you. And I just wanted to mention that.
The AI feature, I did take a look from the beginning of where the FinPod is to where it is now. That AI scraping of even just doing any email that is submitted through ConnectWise is definitely a game changer.
Awesome. Super, super, super glad to hear that. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kathy.
Sure.
I appreciate everything that you said. Oh, I don't know. Did Tanner do that or did Kathy do that?
Yeah, I've been trying to time them just right, just hovering over the buttons. Sorry, Kathy, to push you out early, but hopefully it wasn't too early.
Tanner with the band hammer.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, Joel. We have Joel over here. I feel like if we got Sean up here, it'd be a little too crazy. So we're definitely going. Which if we got both of them up here, we'd be going crazy. I did invite Joel, so if he doesn't accept Sean, maybe I'll have to pull you in as a number 2. Sean and Joel work together. For those of you who, I like to be a part of inside jokes one day too. There's Joel.
Hi.
Hey, Joel. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. You've seen 2 other people. give their feedback. So I guess you kind of know what the next question is you are one of the first adopters of this. Your feedback's really helped us build this as well. What have been your thoughts so far? What have you been able to do with it, and how are you hoping it's going to improve?
I can't say enough good about this thing after rolling over from what we had before Phin. It was a lot more micromanaging, a lot more time spent per ticket. They were, the previous ones would handle the training aspect of it, but as far as I'm more on the production side of things. Handle the procedures in the back, write up the SOPs for the engineers, and just the time saved on help desk from handling the email flow has been fantastic. That pod, the hardest part of it was getting the engineers to start using the web version of ConnectWise for that. Because everybody was using the back client before. Once we got everybody using that, though, it seriously does cut the vetting time down. We were checking links, pulling attachments and checking them in a sandbox, going through headers, and then Microsoft decided that new Outlook doesn't need to be able to see headers. The FinSec pod's been fantastic. And that feature you guys were talking about with the cross-tenant mailbox issue, we actually just had an incident the other day where somebody was actually targeting multiple of our clients at once, and we were able to put that to use. Where, I do like vetting them myself. I don't want I don't trust an AI. Everybody's had stuff stuck in a spam filter that didn't belong there. But once you've identified something as, okay, this is dangerous and they're emailing everybody, being able to kill that, because I mean, you can send out an email blast, you can have call over to a company and have them run around the desk and go, don't open that email from so and so. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't pay attention. This is fantastic, and I used to have to do that kind of stuff with PowerShell.
That's awesome. So did you notice that it was a coordinated attack to multiple of your clients because you saw that information in the Fin pod, or did you notice it elsewhere and then use the pod
In the
to
Fin
rectify
pods, we didn't have anything reported, and everything shows up in ConnectWise via ticket. So even in that first one, when we got to that last tab, we're like, oh, wait a minute, this is also hitting X company, and then I could flip over and see in the list, oh, there's a whole bunch more from this client also. This must be targeting both clients, and so it was great. One click, gone.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, that is one of the shocking things that I learned through having conversations like this about most email security that y'all use, is that there isn't the multi-tenant searching, blocking, and removing, that you either have to go into somebody else's dashboard and block an individual tenants, or you have to write PowerShell scripts to do it, both of which don't really sound appetizing. And as a result of the integrations we already had into Microsoft, we actually could see that information and just give you access to using it. So I actually didn't even know you had done that, and I'm very glad you were able to. It's like, oh yeah, that is the exact use case. Actually, Bryce, that you saw earlier, mentioned the exact same thing. It's like, well, when one client's attacked, if we could know if our other clients are getting attacked, because it's something that probably happens because we serve very similar companies. There's no way for us to know that. We're not going to invest the time to research. We're not going to invest the time into blocking everything. But if it was a button, boom, that'd be perfect.
I agree with the lady who was just up there, where we try to usually handle things individually. We have Tia that handles things in ConnectWise when we see something and we're like, okay, this wasn't a SIM, this isn't just spam, this is malicious, let's block it. But when it's hitting multiple clients at once like that, being able to just nip it in the bud without having to panic and put a couple engineers on it so we can handle it in a couple of minutes, that was worth every penny right there.
Saved you a lot of heartburn, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's what we'll rename. Instead of the Fin AI email triaging pod, or whatever combination of those words it'll be heartburn reducer. That's what we'll call it. Maybe that's already trademarked. I'll have to think about that. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being here. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, unlike the others, I have no problem pissing other people off. Go Steelers.
Go Steelers. Oh God. The only, at least it wasn't like the Bengals or something.
Oh no, I have taste, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being here, Joel. And you've been one of the people that has also given us a lot of feedback that's been incorporated in the way this is changing. So I can't thank you enough for that. We owe you
I
more than we'll be able to repay. So
have no problem writing you guys long novels about, hey, you know what would work?
that's the kind of shit that's really valuable. So I actually really appreciate that.
Well, thanks for having
Awesome.
me.
Thanks for being here, Joel. Really appreciate it. Tanner, did you want to wrap up? Did we want to wrap up? Were there any plans after this?
Yeah. Let's see. I gotta crowdcast and save my spot in my pretty deck here. So I'm gonna go through it. I can't. Let me look and see if we have any questions related to the triaging stuff. I think I saw one, but Sean, I
Yes.
believe, popped in and answered it for us, which was very nice.
Also, yeah, Dean. So Dean left. He said, "How do I put this on the screen? Can I just?"
Oh, you click it?
There we
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Yeah. I feel like giving individuals human attention to the emails my clients submit as possible phishing is a value add and a chance to add value. Should I be worried this will remove that value? So this is what I'll say. There are a lot of partners of ours who have decided to actually completely remove this, to not let people submit phishes because of how many tickets and how much time it puts back onto their help desk. Leveraging this pod and all of the functionality that is just put at your tech's fingertips in the pod is actually a way to extract more value, to continue to encourage users to send you things that you really think is phishing. The direction that this product is moving will eventually reduce the noise. So less spam gets forwarded from users. We're interacting with them on your behalf and teaching them what spam actually looks like, as opposed to just like real phishing. But then that the real signal, which is phishing emails or business or evidence of business email compromise, should get elevated immediately to the help desk. And that's when the pod would also come in handy, helping your techs review that. Like Joel had literally just mentioned, didn't even know that had occurred. Figuring out that multiple clients were getting attacked with a specific kind and type of phishing email as a result of just being able to see it right there in the pod, that's insane value. One of the ways that we also see this increasing security is if you recognize something as definite phishing in one client, the current method to get that information applied to all of your other clients' email tenants either doesn't exist or is incredibly manual. Like I had said, either writing PowerShell scripts or actually going into your Avanan, your Proofpoint, your CoFence, or whatever email tool you're using and doing it tenant by tenant, which means you're never going to do that. So if Dean were here, I'd say, no, this will not remove value. This will actually increase the value you're able to extract and provide more value from clients, more value to clients at the same time. I'll see. I'm done answering. All right.
I think that's pretty much it. Most of the questions we answered, in the chat as we went. Like I said, there's the share your feedback button at the bottom there, and if this helps at all, we crave the feedback. It is the best way for us to make the best tools for you guys. So if you didn't, vote in the polls, if you didn't vote, get a chance to vote in the polls, they're still up. So go ahead and do that. But otherwise, if you guys don't mind going to share your feedback button, we're also going to send an email out with like the recording, just a link to this recording if you ever wanted to look back at it. And the link for the same survey will be there. But the more information you guys give to us, the better tools we can make for you. So I can't reiterate that enough, that your feedback means everything to us. And I think that's all I got, Connor.
Awesome. I guess it's, I don't know, Looney Tune exit. That's all, folks. But I appreciate all you for being here. I will reiterate Tanner's points. We build things that are valuable based upon what our MSP partners tell us, exactly like all of y'all. So if you do have feedback, like Kathy, like Bryce, like Joel, a lot of that does get built into the way that we do things. Because, I mean, simply put, we feel like we're really smart people, but we definitely don't know as much about your business as you do. So you can selfishly tell us how to help. And then if we're more valuable, we just become a better partner. So cannot reiterate enough. Please give us your feedback. We read all of it. We appreciate all of it. And that's how we decide what to build almost all the time.
Awesome. Well, I think with that, I'm going to end the broadcast. Appreciate everybody being here, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for joining.